Think about the last time you felt completely at ease with people. Not performed ease. Not the version where you're being good company. Actually, easy. Where were you? I keep thinking about this because some rooms seem to make people land with each other, and others don't. You can have a beautiful room, perfect lighting, expensive furniture, enough space for everyone, and somehow, 3 hours later, everybody has behaved impeccably, and nobody has really arrived. Then there are other rooms, too small, too loud. Someone is sitting on a stool that came from the kitchen. Someone else has half a cushion. There are not enough matching glasses. Nobody can find the remote. And 6 hours later, people are still talking. Why? I started thinking about this recently while watching Trevor Noah's World Cup watch party. In some of the early videos, there didn't seem to be enough proper sofa space for everyone. And my reaction was immediate. How did nobody plan this? You knew guests were coming. Why is somebody pulling up a soft stool? I was genuinely unimpressed. Because apparently, even in my spare time, a program manager remains alive and well inside of me. But then I kept watching. Something changed. The slight crowding, the improvisation, people leaning in. Something shifting because someone else needed space. Bodies turning towards each other. People sharing sightlines. The room didn't seem arranged for perfect individual comfort, at least not for everyone. And yet, it felt social, warm, alive, and I realized I might have been looking at the wrong thing. I was judging the seating plan. Maybe the more interesting question was, what kind of relationship is this room making possible? Because we spend an extraordinary amount of time asking whether a room looks good. We ask, does the sofa fit? Is the rug big enough? Should the chairs face the television? Is the coffee table too small? Does it photograph well? But perhaps there's another question. What does the room ask people to do? Does it ask them to lean in or sit back? Does it ask them to face each other or face the screen? Does it let one more person join easily? Or does every seat already feel claimed? Can somebody pull up a chair? Can somebody sit on the floor? Can you move something without feeling like you've disturbed the composition of the room? Can you put your feet up? Can you exhale? Because a room is never just holding bodies. It's arranging them. And once you notice that, you start seeing it everywhere. The formal living room nobody lives in, the enormous sofa where everyone gets their own private postcode. The beautiful chair angled perfectly towards absolutely nobody. The kitchen where the entire party ends up anyway. Why does that always happen, by the way? You spend weeks preparing the living room. You clean it, you plump things, you light candles. People arrive, and 40 minutes later, 8 adults are standing around a kitchen island designed for 3. Why? Maybe because kitchens give people something living rooms often don't. A reason not to perform intimacy. In kitchens, you can chop something or something, open a cupboard, pretend to be looking for ice while you're deciding whether to answer that question. You can stand beside someone instead of opposite them. You can move, leave, return. Conversation doesn't have to carry the full weight of the encounter. And perhaps that matters, because sometimes closeness arrives more easily when nobody is demanding it. I think we underestimate how much directness a room can impose. 2 people sitting opposite each other, nothing between them, nowhere else to look. That can be intimate. It can also feel like an interview. Put those same 2 people side by side in a car and suddenly one of them tells you the story of their life. Why? Same people, same relationship, different arrangements of bodies. Look at children. They often tell you enormous things while doing something else. Drawing, walking, building Lego, staring out of a window. They don't always sit you down, hold eye contact, and say, "Mother, I would now like to discuss my internal world with you." It just doesn't happen. They tell you while their hands are busy. Maybe adults aren't so different. Maybe some of our best conversations happen when the room gives us somewhere else to look. Now, I want to be careful because there's an easy story here. Small rooms are warm, big rooms are cold. Crowding creates community, beautiful interiors destroy friendship. No, absolutely not. Some small spaces are suffocating. Some crowded homes contain no privacy at all. Some enormous rooms are full of laughter. And some tiny kitchens are places people have spent their whole lives trying to escape. So what would have to be true for this idea to be wrong? It would have to be true that physical proximity creates emotional closeness. And clearly, it doesn't. You can sit beside someone for 20 years and still be lonely. So I'm not saying closeness can be manufactured by moving a chair 6 inches to the left. Although, as someone who loves interiors, I would deeply enjoy that level of power. I'm asking something smaller and maybe stranger. Can a room make certain kinds of connections easier? Not inevitable, easier. Can it lower the effort required to join? Can it give people permission to move? Can it make silence less awkward? Can it create small moments where we have to accommodate each other? Because that's the part of the watch party I couldn't stop seeing once I saw it. Someone needs space, someone shifts, someone arrives late, people adjust, a stool appears, a body turns, the group changes shape, tiny acts, almost nothing. But perhaps closeness is partly built out of almost nothing. Move over. Sit here. Take mine. We'll fit. Think about that phrase. We'll fit. There is something quietly generous in it. Because making room is a physical act. But it's also one of the oldest metaphors we have for love. Make room for me. Make room for grief. Make room for difference. Make room for one more person. Maybe that's why some imperfect rooms feel so alive. They haven't decided everything in advance. There's still something for the people inside them to do. They have to negotiate, adjust, offer, receive. The room is unfinished until people arrive. And I wonder whether some of our most beautiful spaces have accidentally removed that possibility. Everything has a place. Every object is resolved. Every chair is positioned. Every surface is protected. The room is complete before anyone enters it. And perhaps people can feel that. Perhaps that's the strange coldness in some beautiful homes. Not that they lack warmth, not that the people lack love, but that the space is already finished. There's nothing for you to change, nothing for you to move, no evidence that your arrival should alter anything. You are welcome, but the room will remain exactly as it was. And I think there's a difference between being welcomed into a space and being allowed to affect it. Maybe that is what I was seeing when I watched that World Cup watch party. I thought the missing sofa was a failure of planning. But look again. Perhaps the more interesting thing was what happened because everything wasn't perfectly resolved. People made room, not metaphorically, literally. And maybe that's where I want to leave this. We spend so much time asking whether our homes are beautiful, whether they're finished, whether the proportions are right, whether the furniture works. Maybe we should ask what happens to people after 3 hours inside. Do they lean in? Do they stay? Does somebody take off their shoes? Does one conversation become another? When one more person arrives, does everyone look for a reason they can't fit? Or does somebody simply move over? Because perhaps the most important thing your sofa does isn't hold people. It tells them how close they're allowed to become. And the next time everyone abandons your beautiful living room and ends up crowded in the kitchen, don't herd them back. Look again. The room might be working perfectly.